Hi, my name is Courtney. Oh, God, my voice sounds really funny today. Hi, my name is Courtney, and I'm really passionate about helping women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one that you had envisioned for yourself, but time marches on. It's not going to wait for you to figure it out, so you got to get a grip. But I obviously did not make a video yesterday. And the reason I didn't was I had a raging, raging migraine. It was horrible. But I can't bitch too much because it came out of a really good scenario. I know, doesn't that sound crazy? Let me explain. So, yesterday, this is so cool. Yesterday, I got probably the first news I've had from a doctor in like 20 years. I'm not exaggerating. I went to the eye doctor. I was diagnosed, gosh, I don't know how many years ago. It seems like forever. But I went to the eye doctor in Fairbanks, which, by the way, Fairbanks is extremely arid. It is considered a subarctic desert. In fact, it is so dry that we can't make snowballs or snowmen because the snow won't stick together. It's just powder. Anyway, so I was having a lot of problems with my eyes, and I go to the eye doctor. And you know how they lean forward and look through that little machine? So he leans forward and he's looking, and he was a young doctor, and he literally recoiled back and he looked again and he pushed the machine away and he was like, "Oh my God." I said, "What?" He said, "Why the hell did you wait so long to come in?" And I was just totally baffled. Like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Your eyes, they're in terrible shape." And I said, "Why? I mean, that's why I'm here." And he's like, "But why didn't you come in sooner?" And he actually said, "Can you wait a minute? I need to go get the other doctor." So he went and got the I don't know what you'd call her, the main doctor of the clinic, the lady who owned the clinic, the more senior eye doctor. And he went and got her, and she looked, and she also recoiled. And they told me that I had such severe dry eye that they had never seen a case quite so bad. And they literally told me that my corneas looked like they were, and I quote, shredded. In fact, the younger doctor went on to say that it looks like somebody ran over your corneas with a lawnmower. So, as a result of that, I had, they call it, I think they call them punctal plugs, but I had plugs, isn't that just awful? I had plugs put into my tear ducts in the inner corners of my eye. Why? Because they wanted to prevent what few tears I make from draining out. They put me on these really expensive eye drops. And it was kind of funny because they told me, well, these are going to burn. So I get the prescription and I go, at that point I was going in very regularly for follow-ups, and I go back in and I was like, you said they were going to burn. I don't even feel them. And they said, that's because you have such a severe damage to your eyes. Your nerves aren't registering the pain yet. So that was the sign of progress for me when the eye drop started to burn like hell. That's how I knew my eyes were healing because the nerves were regenerating or starting to work properly, or however you want to look at that. But my insurance has changed drastically over the past year, literally the past year. And I knew the eye drops were horrifyingly expensive, but I used to be able to go to the local pharmacy in Alaska and I paid $10 a month for them. Well, then that changed. And all of a sudden it went through the roof. And that wasn't the only medication. My thyroid medication, I used to pay $5 a month for. And now if I go to a regular pharmacy, it's $50 a month for me to get my thyroid meds. But if I go through my insurance company's mail order, I can get my thyroid meds for $20 a month. So obviously I do that. Well, and obviously that's a huge savings. My eye drops through the insurance company's mail order are $150 a month. That's a hell of a jump. I can guarantee you I haven't had a raise to compensate for the increase in my medication costs. So I didn't want to use those anymore. Then I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do because I'm not paying that. I'm just not going to pay that. That's ridiculous. And which I know it's your eyes, but anyway. So I get into an eye doctor here in Texas, and I was really apprehensive because I haven't been using the expensive, painful eye drops in quite a while. and I get in there, do all the tests, and we were talking about, oh, and by the way, I don't know if I told you, they in Alaska they also told me I should consider cauterizing my tear ducts if I wanted to stay in Fairbanks. To which I pretty much immediately blurted out, I am not that effing invested in living in Fairbanks, except I didn't censor it. But the eye doctor here said, you don't need any of those. You don't need any of that stuff. Just keep using rewetting drops. He said, your eyes actually look pretty good. And I had LASIK. Gosh, I grew up in glasses. I started wearing glasses in second grade. I hit legally blind without my glasses on at like 16, 15, 16. But I had LASIK in my mid 30s, I think. And yeah, my vision's still really good. And in fact, I was knitting when the eye doctor came in, and he's like, look, the fact that you can knit without readers on or anything that's really impressive this far out of LASIK and considering your age, which yeah, okay. But it was really exciting. That's the first good news I've had from a doctor in literally about 20 freaking years. So I was very excited about that. But they did dilate my eyes, and it was funny because I was so happy, and I'm on cloud nine, and I walk out of the clinic and it was very overcast. So thank God. So it wasn't walking out into the bright Texas sun, but as soon as I walked outside, my eyes were like, no. And I had put on sunglasses. I had my visor down in my car all the way home. Thank goodness it was a very simple drive home, pretty much a straight shot, mostly country roads, so real quiet traffic. And I got back in my little cottage here. I worked for about 10 minutes and I couldn't do it. I had to call my boss. I'm really sorry. I'm done for the day. I'm just done. I had such a raging headache. So that's why I did not do a video last night. Holy crap. I just realized that I'm talking a million miles a minute. I am so sorry, but this is really exciting for me. Okay. And now for something not quite as exciting, a Cymbalta update. A lot of you know, I let the doctors, I can't say my rheumatologist because she saw me once and was like, you don't need to be here. But the rheumatologist that I saw here in Tyler and the pain specialist that I see here in Tyler both wanted me to take a drug called Cymbalta. Now, my doctors in Alaska had mentioned it. I didn't want to take it, but I was like, fine, because they don't want to give me the tramadol that I do really well with. I thought, you know what, maybe this will help. Maybe it would have. Who knows? You don't know till you try. So I agreed. I went on the Cymbalta. I took that shit for like 6 weeks. Well, in total, I think I took it for about 8 weeks. The first week was amazing. I was like, holy crap. I found the Holy Grail. This is going to change my life. And then it all went to hell. And things got so bad that, I've had a headache. It's easing, thank goodness, but I've had a headache pretty much for 5 weeks now, a pretty bad headache, and severe nausea, really severe nausea, and insomnia. Oh my gosh, y'all, the most ridiculously vivid, terrifying nightmares. So I get a hold of the pain doctor and I'm like, this ain't working for me. What do you want me to do? And I said, well, if you want to stop taking it, well, yes, obviously, when I'm having all these side effects, obviously I want to stop taking it. But then they told me you can't just stop taking it. You have to taper off. And I found out after the fact, it's actually one of the hardest medications to stop taking. So yeah, thanks for that helpful bit of information in advance. So I took 2 weeks to taper off. The first week I cut my dose in half, and the second week I cut it in half again. Now, technically, I should have taken my last Cymbalta yesterday. No, I took my last one Saturday because I was to the point that I just could not believe that skipping one single pill was going to be any worse for me than the way that, excuse my language, that absolutely toxic shit made me feel. And yeah, so far, no complaints. My sleep pattern is already recovering. I was down to where I was sleeping 3 to 4 hours at night because the insomnia was so bad. And the last couple of nights I slept, I think, just under 6 last night and about 7 the night before. Well, that's a significant improvement. The nightmares Thank God the nightmares were the first thing to stop. Thank God, because they were just horrifying. I mean, I it got to where I would wake up from these nightmares and I would be so scared I'd have to turn a light on and I just lay there and shake. How in the hell is that helping me? Now, there was no way to know that. There was no way to try, or excuse me, there was no way to know without trying it. I guarantee you that not a single doctor who ever recommended that to me thought this was going to be the outcome. And in fact, I have a friend who lives in California who takes Cymbalta, and it's really helpful for him. He's done really well with it. He's had very few side effects. But I'm very, very sensitive to medications. And I get really frustrated because I know what works for me. I've been living with this for so long now. It's been like 20 years or so. And I get so frustrated when a doctor tells me, and this is usually what they say, well, tramadol doesn't work for fibromyalgia. Really? How do you know? Because you read a paper? Why don't you discuss this with me? Let's have a conversation about it, since I'm the one who lives with this. Plus, y'all control how much of it I can get. I'm not going to be abusing it. The whole thing with the medication has just gotten so freaking out of hand. And in fact, my doctor in Alaska that I used to have a very good relationship with until the opioid scare went crazy, January a year ago, I was in seeing her and I lit her up. I was really pissed. And I said, do you have any, because she knows that I'm an advocate for people with chronic illness. I'm so sorry I'm rambling, but I have a point to make here. I said, do you know how many people have gotten a hold of me and said, Courtney, I don't know what to do. I need help. I can't get my medication and I'm drinking too much. I'm drinking because I need a relief. I need something. Well, here's the shit of it. Alcohol's inflammatory. So it might give you a temporary reprieve. I'll admit I've used it. But that inflammatory reaction, if I overindulge, I feel so much worse the next day. It ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. But it becomes very counterproductive because the booze causes more inflammation, which causes more pain, which makes you need something to get rid of the pain more. So you're drinking more, which causes more inflammation. It's just this horrible downward spiral. And I was so mad at my doctor and I lit her up and I said, do you guys have you, any of you really considered the ramifications of what you've done to chronic pain patients? And Dr. Chernick's a really good person. She truly is. And she genuinely cares about her patients. And I told her after I threw a tantrum, I did. Not proud of it, but I was just so pissed. I told her, I understand your hands are tied. But, I honestly have never heard, and I'm sure there's some out there somewhere that do, but I've not heard of any doctors who are willing to go to bat for their patients, who are willing to stand up to the bureaucrats and say, you know what, we've got to find a better solution than just cutting these people off. In fact, someone just told me on social media the other day that their pain medication has been cut, I think he said by like 3/4. And he has to pay like $200 a month out of his pocket for a urinalysis test before they'll give him a quarter of what they used to give him. How in the hell does that make any sense? And why the urinalysis test? For God's sakes, you guys control the drug. You know how much we're taking. People will talk to me about the fentanyl thing. Well, you know why fentanyl? You want to know part of the reason fentanyl is so out of freaking control? Because people have nowhere to turn. I am so fortunate that I can control my situation for the most part with something as mild as tramadol. But my God, you'd think I was asking these people for an endless supply of morphine. Like I just wanted a little morphine cart, as I call them, a little happy machine. That's what I called it after I had surgery. Little happy machine to just drag around everywhere I go. And just every time I decided I needed some, just give myself a little jolt of morphine. I don't want that. I know I can't pill this away. I know I'm never going to make it go away with medication. All I want is something to take the edge off so I can freaking function, so I can have a quality of life that really shouldn't be asking too much, but but apparently it is. Anyway, I am done babbling at y'all. I do appreciate your time, truly. And I am trying very hard to get back to being more consistent. But man, that's Cymbalta. I really try not to drop the F bomb on here, but man, that stuff that stuff just fucked me up. Excuse my language, but it did. I was I got to the point where I was really scared because of how bad it impacted me, and the physical, when you have that much of a physical impact, when your body hurts nonstop and you can't sleep, and then God, for goodness sakes, then when you do sleep, you're having these freaking god awful nightmares. Boy, that eats at you pretty quick. It doesn't take long until you get into a bad headspace. Fortunately, I'm pretty good at self-care. I have a lot of regular habits that saved my ass during all that. But it kind of makes me laugh. You guys are perfectly happy to put me on the stuff that's made my life a complete freaking hell for 6 weeks and made me feel so horrifyingly toxic. But a half a tramadol twice a day, that's just a bridge too far. Make it make sense. Anyway, I am done babbling at y'all. I hope you have a great evening, and I will be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock Central.